The Trudeau Liberals are facing a new round of criticism for their attempts to regulate and censor the internet. And what's interesting this time around is some of the groups involved in the criticism include TikTok and Twitter. So let me tell you what's going on here. Now, the Liberals have been engaged in what I describe as a multi-pronged approach to do internet regulation and censorship. They've got a couple different pieces of legislation or proposed legislation going on, and one of them pertains to online harms. That's the phrase they use to cover all these bad things, harmful things going on online, like hate speech and misinformation, things that we all agree, okay, we don't support that stuff, but how do you define it? How do you regulate, censor it? And should a partisan government be in charge of defining those terms and be in charge of actually figuring out how to do that regulation? Well, they got a lot of responses to this, and most of them were negative. Now, Michael Geist, he is an academic. He's a law professor at the University of Ottawa, and he specializes in things regarding internet policy. And he looked at a report that the Heritage Department actually put out, talking about the responses they received in their consultation process. So encouraging all different individuals and organizations, companies to send in their thoughts about these online harms proposed legislation. Now, Michael Geist felt like what they had in the report was clearly not all of the responses they got in the consultation, and he had to file an ATIP request, an access to information request, to actually get the full responses from different organizations. And he found, wow, the stuff that he actually got, the documents that were released, told a very interesting story and showed much more robust criticism than the Liberals had acknowledged in their report, which was supposed to disclose what the responses were. Now, a lot of individuals very concerned about these attempts to regulate the internet, but it's also interesting to see that some social media giants have problems with it. Get a load at what Twitter had to say about this. They said that the proposal by the Government of Canada to allow the Digital Safety Commissioner, yes, that's a new job they're creating, to block websites is drastic. People around the world have been blocked from accessing Twitter and other services in a similar manner as the one proposed by Canada by authoritarian governments, in brackets they say China, North Korea, and Iran, for example. This is done, they say, under the false guise of online safety, impeding people's rights to access information online. Wow. Now, I know a lot of people accuse Twitter of engaging in censorship and not being that embracing of free speech. I know Elon Musk and his supporters would say that. So if you've got Twitter telling the Liberal government that what they're doing is basically impeding free speech and is similar to what's going on in China, that's a clear sign that you got a problem on your hands. And by the way, that thing Twitter said, it didn't make the report. Like I said, Michael Geist had to file the ATIP request to find it. They wanted to bury that response from Twitter. That is quite something. TikTok, they responded by saying, look, in the first quarter of 2021, we found that when it came to content that violated our community guidelines, well, they accounted for less than 1% of all of our videos, and that 91.3% of those videos, they were removed and identified. They were identified and removed even before a user could report them. So they're basically saying, look, to the degree there's a problem, we got a handle on it. We find this stuff and we delete it before it becomes a problem. Basically suggesting, why do we need the Trudeau government to come in and determine what needs to be deleted, what the criteria is, and when it should happen? Good questions indeed. Why do we need the government to be crafting any of these internet regulation and censorship laws? I don't think we do.